And things coming in from China in the United States of America are now infinitely more expensive. And the reasons are, of course, predictably, the Chinese. Yes, you might say America instituted these tariffs, and therefore tariffs as an entry fee are directly increasing the costs carried over to the consumers. I don't see the future of Europe unless they're like, we're closely re-examining a world where we are not attached to the hip to the United States of America because it's a dangerous and unstable empire that is now attacking its own vassal state structure here in the European Union, and therefore it's China's time to shine. Without that, which probably will never happen because I think the Orientalist framework will stop them from behaving in this way. Without that, they're cooked. They're stuck between a rock and a hard place, and they just only become poorer and poorer. And in that, and in the process of that volatility, that economic instability is already causing right-wing fascist movements to grow at an alarming rate. Like they are genuinely galvanized. How can you be so monstrous? What are you doing? What are you spamming? What are you f***ing spamming? Why are you spamming? How can you be so monstrous as a YouTube short? Calm down. Take some time off.
Right now, the Dow future is down sharply as global markets take a big hit in response to President Trump's tariffs announcements.
I honestly don't understand how Europe can even be remotely as the U.S. because Europe has already been suffering before this kind of stuff, before these kinds of moves to begin with.
And just moments ago, China announced plans to implement 34% retaliatory, thank you, tariffs on U.S. goods starting April.
Okay, before we get to the Fox explainers, okay, White House was nearing a TikTok deal, but China hit the brakes after Trump announced wide-ranging tariffs, AP source says. Before we do that, all right, now let's get back to Fox News and how they're coping.
April 10th.
So senior White House correspondent Jackie Heinrich is watching all this. She's a little seasick. Jackie, tell us the latest. And you have your own landscaper issues, it sounds like.
I do. I do. You know, Brian, this market reaction was a shock to everyone, really, except for President Trump, who likened it to a scheduled medical procedure to treat a sick patient.
I think it's going very well. It was an operation, like when a patient gets operated on, and it's a big thing. I said this would exactly be the way it is. We have $6 or $7 trillion coming into our country, and we've never seen anything like it. The markets are going to boom, the stock is going to boom, the country is going to boom.
And his administration is echoing that line, even as the impacts keep coming. This morning, China announcing retaliatory tariffs of 34% effective April 10th. That, by the way, is exactly the kind of countermeasure that Treasury Secretary said would prompt escalation from the U.S., repeatedly warning against it. The president's aides maintain the strategy will work and the fallout will be short, despite recession warnings from some economists.
This will be a short time of uncertainty, and then we'll move back to the prosperity that this president has envisioned, that he is so bold and so willing to fight for. And I couldn't be more proud and stand next to him. The new golden age of prosperity will move in.
Now, there are some signs that the president's prescription might work. General Motors announcing plans to boost production of light-duty trucks in the U.S., announcing that it is hiring several hundred temporary workers as the auto industry...
It might work. Dude, by the way... Look, I'm not trying to dunk on North Korea here at all, but there is an analog here, okay? I'm sorry. Whenever I hear a Trump administration spokesperson talk about the glorious leader, it immediately reminds me of the wonderful old lady that is that Kim Jong-un famously gifted an apartment complex to in Pyongyang. It's just, it's they have the same exact energy. They're speaking English, but it even has the same like Korean intonation. Like the way that they're even like saying the words has that like, oh, like the what's the term for it? Like they're saying it with their chest. It's coming. The noises are coming out of their bellies almost. The cadence, yes. It's awesome. Yeah, bravado, gusto, those are good words as well. Thank you.
Also grapples with sector-specific tariffs.
It's called pansori in Korean. Okay, that's what it's called. I love it. I personally think it's awesome. I hope Donald Trump also does like these parades as well. I do like parades. I love parades. I think they're gay as f, but like military parades are kind of cool. And the other thing that I like is, yeah, if the military, instead of like doing death and destruction, built shit and then did parades, I'd be happy with it. And then also the other thing that I like is like ginormous statues. And I've talked about this before. Like people get mad at me for this. People think this is a bad take, but I think like giant statues of leaders are very cool. Like they just look cool in general. So if Donald Trump does that stuff too, I want that. Like I want that. And then they'll, given that he's a real MAGA communist, they'll also embalm him as well after his passing. No, I don't like air shows. Air shows are not cool. Parades are cool because like it's right there in front of you. It's like something you can immediately see. I feel like air shows are not as cool. I don't really think about it in the same way. I don't know. I think air shows are kind of whack in comparison to like military parades where they're like marching side by side. You know what I mean?
The renaissance of American manufacturing coming because Donald Trump is bringing them back. He's driving them back. $6 trillion, he said today, he's got committed to America. It's unbelievable.
And other countries are also responding. Mexico and Canada both hastening negotiations with the U.S. toward a new USMCA trade deal. Eric Trump posting to X, I wouldn't want to be the last country that tries to negotiate a trade deal with Donald Trump. The first to negotiate will win. The last will absolutely lose. I've seen this movie my entire life. Meantime, Democrats are sounding off about the inflationary impacts of this plan in the House, planning to force a vote to try to kill the tariffs entirely, guys.
All right. Thank you so
Thanks,
much.
Jackie.
All right.
Brian?
So this just came across, guys. So China officially has retaliated. You know, when you put the fentanyl issued yesterday, we have tariffed China over 50%. They have just responded. They don't want to be bullied, air quotes. They with a 34% tariffs. They also listed 11 American companies of so-called unreliable entities. And they're going to halt chicken imports, too. Listen, we get a lot more from them than they get from us. Yeah, and drone companies, which a lot of it's going to hurt the defense industry, too, because a lot of the parts that we use, sadly and astoundingly, that our Pentagon uses are from parts and materials that we get from China. So this is a big wake-up call. The other big story is pharmaceuticals are going to be targeted as early as today. Why? Remember, we don't make any drugs here, but yet we use them all. So how do you bring manufacturing back? Well, if you're in Ireland, there's no reason to come here. It's at 0%. But now we're going to start bringing it back as tariffs hit. Lastly, about China, it looks like we're going to tariff third parties that buy Venezuelan oil. Guess who buys Venezuelan oil? China. So they could be hit in the oil pocket, too.
Well, Brian, I think the statement that they produce in they're being bullied is comical. They steal products. They use slave labor. They spy on everything that we do, especially if you're a company there, you got to turn over all your data to them as well. And they use that to build up. They're funding some of our enemies as well. So if it's anything, anybody getting bullied is the United States. We finally you got COVID as well. Good point, Ainsley. So what we have now is a president that is taking it seriously and taking it to China.
Yeah, and Bill Ackman, who is the billionaire hedge fund guy, he said, my advice to foreign leaders is that if you have not already
Bill A. Packman had another statement that was really funny where he was like, please don't tariff Israel. That was hilarious. He's like, Mr. President, please. Bill smoking Crackman. Hilarious. Get Bill.
Reached out to President Donald Trump. You need to do so immediately. Trump is, at his core, a deal maker who sees the world as a series based on his track record to date with foreign governments, law firms, and universities. He is a tough but fair negotiator. He loves to make deals, and he loves to get things done promptly. Promptly. I expect Trump will reward the early deal makers with fairer deals than those that wait to sit down at the negotiation table, which sounds just like what Eric Trump said. And Donald Trump said, every country has called us. That's the beauty of what we do. We put ourselves in the driver's seat. So I think if you're one of the first few countries that's calling him, trying to make a deal, that's the one that's going to get those countries are going to get the headlines and going to say they're working with the United States. So I think it would be smart if they were doing this. It looks like they might be behind the scenes.
So a couple of things. Yesterday, Ainsley and I, we know a shirt manufacturer and textiles. And he said the one thing that I was showing Ainsley, the text messages that people should realize is that we don't really have textile mills that make shirts because it's not a matter of just plugging it in, turning on a machine. Right. You actually need skilled people to do it. So if you're going to tariff 25%, let's say, coming from Vietnam, right away they almost become insolvent, especially if you took on debt after the pandemic to keep your company alive. So there's so many different elements to it. You could sincerely want to bring your business back. But America right now says, I'm sorry, all we have is vacant warehouses where factories used to be, or we were never good at it.
You don't say. This is why Brian Kilme, Mr. Kill Myself, is a fake friend. He's always been a fake friend of Trump. This is why he played baseball with fucking Ron DeSantis, like Ron DeSantis was his dad. This is what he was worried about. And now he's just like trying to manage the situation while not getting fired from the regime propaganda outlet.
Ethan Lane, the senior vice president of government affairs, exporters, said doesn't love tariffs, but understands what Trump's doing.
Nobody who imports or exports likes tariffs, us included, right? This is not a tool that we would pick if we had other options. But the president makes a very good point that for a very long time, we've had the raw end of a lot of these trade deals. In the case of the beef industry, we've been used as, trade bait or a bargaining chip in some of these international relationships. And it's led to some really lopsided relationships. And our hope here is that the president can use this tool to square up the deck and get us a little bit of a better deal with some of these trading partners so that we're not balancing the backs of these different trade.
Of course this guy is saying it. It's like one of the fucking areas of surplus that they can actually fucking force other countries to purchase. Trump is going to go back to every one of these like European nations and be like, you have to lower your restrictions on what kind of food is allowed and only purchase American beef, I guess. Yeah. Everyone has to eat the hormone jacked beef that we sell. Everything is burger.
Balances on U.S. farmers and ranchers. So, we're hopeful this happens quickly and that we can get back to some low tariff trading with our neighbors and our partners.
Yeah, I think he highlights a point, Ainsley, that I think, shouldn't have to be highlighted is they don't want tariffs. That's not something that these communities want. But they're saying they're getting screwed over. And why are we accepting products with no tariff on it, and the other countries are putting tariffs on our beef? And I think that's what it's going to come down to. All these mom and pops, all these local businesses, whether it's the steel, the farmers, all the other producers, they're saying that it needs to be some give and take here.
Yeah, it needs to be free and fair, and that's what Donald Trump says.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilme.
It needs to be free and fair. I guess the free trade agreements that we did prior was not free nor fair, which is true. They weren't, but not in the way that these assholes are fucking talking about it.
This is an ABC News special report. Now reporting, David Muir.
Good afternoon. We're coming on the air for a moment here. The closing bell on Wall Street ending what has been a very tumultuous 2 days for the stock market. Another day of steep losses here after President Trump announced his sweeping tariffs. Millions of Americans obviously worried about rising prices and about their 401ks already taking a hit in the last 48 hours. Take a look at the closing bell there. The Dow down 2,200 points, closing well below 40,000 there at 38,314. The loss over the last couple of days, the Dow now falling well below 40,000. 40,000. As I mentioned, the NASDAQ and S&P 500 also recording major losses today, both down more than 5%. The Dow immediately dropping more than 1,000 points after the opening bell sounded this morning. The market's spiraling globally over President Trump's tariffs on America's trading partners. Of course, those tariffs then...
These were the photos I was talking about on the fucking Florida Stock Exchange, dude. This is so funny.
Paid for by businesses and companies bringing products into this country, and economists say then passing those prices on to consumers here in the U.S. Many of these countries have signaled that they will take counteraction with their own tariffs against the U.S. In fact, today, China announcing it will be imposing a 34% retaliatory tariff on all U.S. products. President Trump firing back a short time ago. China played it wrong. They panicked. The one thing they cannot afford to do, he said. The president insisting my policies will never change. And just a short time ago, he said only the weak will fail. I want to bring in Rachel Scott. She's our senior political correspondent. She's live at the White House. And Rachel, is there any indication from the White House? And obviously we heard what President Trump just said.
I like that Trump's trade policy is like that meme of the guy who just like shits in his pants, and then everybody goes, hey, that guy shit in his pants, and he goes, haha, I was just pretending to be R-worded. Like, that's it. That's his negotiation tactic, is just putting a gun to his mouth and being like, I'm gonna pull the fucking trigger, I'm gonna pull it right now, don't stop me. And then everybody's like, okay, well, that's weird, don't do that. And he's like, ha, you panicked. Just pure troll.
Any indication that they're going to spend this weekend ahead examining any potential shift here in strategy, given what they've seen in the markets over these last 2 days?
Well, David, I just spoke to a senior White House official who told me they are staying the course. That official pointing to me to the president's statement that he put out just moments before the stock market closed, saying that only though been largely out of sight today, he has been on the golf course. He did respond to those retaliatory tariffs by China, saying that they played it wrong. The president is insisting here that this is going to lead to an increase in manufacturing jobs here in the United States. But he has acknowledged that could take time, possibly a 2-year-long process. The president has also acknowledged that there will be some disturbance, some short-term pain, he says, for the American people. The message from the White House is to trust this president, to trust this White House. But right now, David, they are moving forward with these sweeping tariffs as planned.
But as you say, Rachel, the White House saying manufacturing, it could take some time, up to 2 years to come back. Economists saying that could be 3 to 5 years before some of these factories that they're talking about could be up and running here in the U.S. I want to take our viewers back to the closing numbers here. Again, the Dow closing just a short time ago, down well below 40,000, losing 2,231 points, closing at 38,314 today.
The question I have is, with what industrial manufacturing policy? 2 years, 5 years, how about 10 years? These are the things that you shouldn't have just planned out, but instead implemented before this happened. You can't just wing it when it comes to rebuilding American manufacturing. It's so stupid. Oh, it's so stupid, but so deserved for how stupid of a country we are. How belligerent we have behaved around the global stage in perpetuity. Like, while the impact will be felt by the working class that have no say in this process whatsoever, overall, it's just like, the more I see people fucking defending these things that are taking place, the more I'm like, I guess it couldn't have happened to a fucking better person, really. Like this. This is what I mean. Okay? Are you happy you voted for Trump, says Thomas Ricard. Nerdic Viking says, yes, and I was buying a Switch too. Now that they made it a political thing, I'm out. Wait, who made this a political thing? Thomas Ricard asks. Nintendo just did, ... Didn't you read the article? I'm sorry, dude. If you're this stupid, you don't deserve the bounties of technological improvements or even being at the imperial core. Like, you don't deserve it. You are genuinely too stupid. It makes me despise my fellow Americans to the very core. It's like that guy we saw yesterday when Dye Workwear was defending the truth that my merchandise is made in the United States of America with union manufacturing. And when proof was presented of that, the guy just went, nah, don't believe you. It's Photoshop. It's like, how do you deal with that person? How do you fucking deal with a person whose brain is so goddamn smooth? Like, it's impossible. It makes no, like, we're not, how are we the same organism at this point? Like, I don't understand how you have survived for as long as you have.
Our coverage will continue. ABC News Live, abcnews.com. And for many of you, your local news is standing by. I'll be back with the entire team for World News Tonight. I'm David Muir in New York. I'll see you then.
您正在收看的是 This was the moment the real trade war began. China imposing its own tariffs on $160 billion of American goods.
Western framework on this is so funny. Yeah, trade war actually begins when China retaliates, not when America shoots against literally Sky News' own fucking country too. America, in the most American fashion, in the most belligerent way, decides to open up the floodgates of tariffs, and then one of the many nations that is impacted by it retaliates, and they go, this is the real trade war. This is the moment where the trade war actually began. Not when America shot across the bow. It's just when there was retaliatory tariffs. How dare they do that? How dare they? It's like, if they hadn't retaliated at all, it would be really funny to watch the coverage in like Western news being like, and things coming in from China in the United States of America are now infinitely more expensive. And the reasons are, of course, predictably, the Chinese. Yes, you might say America instituted these tariffs, and therefore tariffs as an entry fee are directly increasing the costs carried over to the consumers. But this is still somehow China's menacing failure. It kept engaging in trade policy menacingly. Maybe my brain is a little broken, but like it reminds me of the Ethan Klein dynamic where he's like, Hasan, I'm going to sue you. For what? For just kind of doing your own thing while I fucking go on an extended crash out that has caused me financial harm. A complete self-own, complete own goal, but I somehow still blame you for it. Why? Because you were just kind of there and you pissed me off. How could China have done this? Yeah, stick in the bike wheel meme. How could Hasan have done this to me?
The US practice is not in line with the rules of international trade and is a typical unilateral bullying practice.
As China hit back, Trump hit the golf course, away from the White House, but still furiously posting. China played it wrong and panicked, he wrote. Hang tough, he urged Americans. But as Wall Street opened red again, plunging too in Europe and the UK. Face to face with America's NATO allies, Trump's top diplomat, arriving late and playing down the economic risks.
No, their economies are not crashing. Their markets are reacting. No, their economies are not crashing. Their markets are reacting to a dramatic change in the global order in terms of trade. And so what happens is pretty straightforward. If you're a company and you make a bunch of your products in China, and all of a sudden shareholders or people that play the stock market realize that it's going to cost a lot more to produce in China, your stock is going to go down.
Warnings, though, from the man.
I like that he just walked. I like that he walked through the steps of like a market crash, but used more words to describe it. Okay, I guess it's not then. Never mind. Yeah, this is just a brief moment of instability that has caused stock prices to plummet, but that's actually healthy and good. And you couldn't consider it to be a market crash, more like a market bump.
Charged with keeping U.S. inflation in check, striking a somber note.
It is now becoming clear that tariff increases will be significantly larger than expected. And the same is likely to be true of the economic effects, which will include higher inflation and slower growth. The size and duration of these effects remains uncertain.
This guy at the Fed announcement using the term cooked, not Jerome Powell, but the other dude, is also a recession indicator. I saw that clip. He verbatim said, the market is cooked. Another recession indicator. When you got like a 65-year-old dude saying that, it's like you're cooked, ironically.
While tariffs are highly likely to generate at least a temporary rise in inflation, it's also possible that the effects could be more persistent.
That's a potential game changer for a nation that's benefited from an open market. With free trade, America lost manufacturing jobs but gained cheap goods, many of them made in places like China. But now that the president wants those manufacturing jobs back, it seems the days of cheap goods made in places like China are over. And that's bad news for Americans when it comes to the price of their shopping.
That means the prices are going to go up on the consumer. So
it is wild that Donald Trump is such a force to be reckoned with that he's gotten all of these people to like openly admit the negative consequences to domestic manufacturing after multiple decades of unlimited, quote unquote, free trade policies. Like, this is the type of shit that I have to badger the average college educated liberal on for hours every single fucking day until they get it. As they tell me that I'm doing voodoo economics when I describe the negative consequences of this free trade negotiation. And now they're just revealing it. Shouts out to Donald Trump, I guess. How crazy? How crazy is that? That virtually all of these mainstream liberal outlets are now openly explaining what the truth is and what has become of the American manufacturing capabilities, American labor. It's blowing my mind. What is this? They're saying shit like this on Fox now?
Buying cheap goods is not a real prosperity, and we don't have to accept that. So you lay the law down, that's all. And look, all the badly behaving children in Asia and elsewhere, they're coming home to Papa, as I said earlier in the show. They're all on the phone, you know, begging for mercy. There will be a lot of deals made in the next week or two or three.
You look at the $5 trillion in investment, the factories that are going to be built here. These are big companies: Honda, Mercedes-Benz, NVIDIA. You've got all these, Apple. They're going to be building things here in this country. Long term, that's a recipe for success, to reindustrialize. Most of the world, we've deindustrialized because it went somewhere else. This is
what we want.
That doesn't even make sense. I mean, I called this early on where I said Trump is going to cause inflation, and then Republicans are going to say it's patriotic to pay high prices, and they're already doing that predictably. But what doesn't make sense about this argument, coming from drunk ass Larry Kudlow, and it's probably indecipherable because he's drunk as a skunk, is the notion that like, oh, well, these guys are coming back to do big deals with America. Okay, so then what? You're defending prices increasing so that we can build, manufacturing hubs in the United States of America. And then you're saying, but all these silly Asian countries, these Asian children are coming home to Papa to cut new deals with the United States of America so we can keep the flow of cheap goods. Okay, so then it is good to have a flow of cheap goods then. Right now says stable Ronaldo. What the fuck is this, bro? What is this?
Oh my God.
Oh my God. Oh no. Hey, I'm eating, bro. God damn, that was wet. Oh, he dookied in there. Oh my God, that was a shark, brother. That was disgusting. Stable Ronaldo, fuck you. Holy shit.
Oh my God.
What was that, bro? No.
They're eating too. Oh, bro, he knows what he did. Look at his face. He knows what he fucking did. Oh my God, it almost played again. Oh my Lord. Oh my God. Stable Ronaldo, you fucking asshole. Look at what you did to us. We're already suffering over here. The fucking global economy is collapsing. And you had to come in here with a 7-month-old clip. Lacey doesn't even look like that no more. His farts, he done farted all of his farts out of his body. It's over now. He can't fart like that no more. He doesn't have motion like that. Akash from Flagrant, after market crash, I didn't vote for Trump. Oh, that's amazing.
Are you happy that the U.S. stock market is crashing?
Why?
Isn't that what you wanted?
I mean,
because you interviewed Trump.
Oh yeah.
And voted for him.
I didn't vote for him.
Oh, okay, you just interviewed him for millions.
For
millions of people.
If Kamala was in a Kutiji, we could have got her a win too.
Maybe she didn't want to come because maybe some of you guys shouldn't have podcasting equipment. Did you ever think about that?
That's good. What other TikTok talking points you got?
It's not a TikTok talking point.
That's a pretty good sentence though, right? Alliterative.
I'm not talking to you.
Bro, Akash, how the fuck is he the luckiest man on the planet? You're already lucky as fuck to be able to make like millions of dollars just shooting the shit with your buddies with a podcast. But I know this is like the only person that he's ever been with. They've been, because I remember watching a video. I remember watching a video of him talking about like his relationship with his wife. And it is crazy. Like, no disrespect to Akash, but holy fuck, his wife is so out of his league. How did the luckiest man on the planet? He has the heavens mandate, dude. Says you rewatching his content making millions, shaking my head. Yeah, that's why I said we're very fortunate. It's arranged, didn't do anything. Bro, he could have been arranged to something totally different, okay? This man, I didn't know it was like this at home, bro. I'm sorry. This is crazy. Yeah, no shit. Yeah, if you roll high on your first try, no need to roll again. Exactly. Yeah, no shit. He's only been with one woman, bro. What the fuck? The arranged thing is fake. I don't know this happened. All I'm saying is this man already is in like the top 1% of luckiest people on the fucking planet by virtue of being in America, becoming a fucking successful podcaster in America. And that's his wife. That's crazy. And she's smart. She's not even like a dum-dum who she doesn't even like Donald Trump. Respect. Seriously, I don't know how the fuck, I don't know what he did. I don't know what kind of rabbit's foot he carries with him everywhere he goes, but goddamn, dude. Bro, you're live, chill. Look, I'm just saying, he's a very, very fortunate, he has swung way above his pay grade on this one. This is entirely out of his league. And it's not even disrespectful to him. I'm just, I'm glazing her. She's gorgeous, but made a mistake. Yeah, he's fine.
We're going to pay.
I'm extremely worried about the prices going up because it's affecting our families here in America. So yes, I'm very worried about that.
So do you think the government's making a mistake?
I do.
So what's your message to the president?
Stop it.
A trade war made in America could see the world on the road to a global recession. A Trump-made one. But the president isn't changing course. David Blevins.